Hi everyone, welcome to episode 127 of A Stitch in Time. Today is Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. My name is Carol. I am Knitsnpurls on Ravelry and I live in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, not too far east of Vancouver. If you are a new viewer, hello, welcome. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out the podcast. I hope you like what you see and that you'll be back. And of course, if you're a new viewer, thank you for coming by once again and spending some time with me. Thank you also to all of you who did reach out this past week. I always love hearing from you. I know I have at least one reply I still have yet to write, and I'm hoping to do that before this goes live. If not, know that my note is coming soon. We've had like light snow all day today. We've had a snowfall warning in effect and calling for anywhere between 5 and 20 centimeters, which is about 2 to 8 inches. And I guess depending on how the atmospheric conditions kind of lined up, we had a cold air meeting some warm Pacific air, and depending on where they met, and how moist it was, I guess, is the determining factor. So far, it's been extremely light. It isn't sticking on the roads or the ground, the pavement at all. So I'm hoping that continues to be the case, because I have to go out tomorrow morning and really don't like driving in the snow. So wish me luck. I was going to say knock wood. I am getting recording quite a bit later than I normally do, so the light might be a little weird. The truth is I was working on a project and wanted to get it to a certain point before I recorded, and that took me a little longer than I expected. Normally I try and get most things done sort of by dinner time or early evening. But Cameron he has a meeting tonight, so he's not going to be home till later anyway, and so I wasn't so much concerned with that. I just like to have our evenings free to spend together as much as possible. Let me think. I have a finished project to share with you this week. I have 3 works in progress, and I have a very special something good at the end. So can't wait to share that with you. I've been trying to get this beginning recorded for the last half an hour, and I just can't seem to get my words together. So I'm going to take a sip of my gingerbread chai latte. I've got it in my snowman cup because it seemed appropriate for a day like today. Okay, it's not piping hot anymore, but at least it's still warm. I'm determined this is it. This is it. You get it the way it is. Oh, do you like my scarf? This is my adventurer scarf. I thought it would, with a t-shirt and the scarf would be warm enough for today. I'll stand up a little bit so you can see how pretty it looks. And you may have heard this furnace kick in. I know it creates a background noise, but the choice is stay warm or have furnace noise, or freeze and not. So I choose warmth, especially on a day like today. Okay, first things first. I finished this pair of hand spun socks that I've been knitting for my curling teammate. She had bought this yarn from a friend and asked me if I would knit her a pair of socks. I did knit her a pair last year, so I just basically followed this. It's the same formula more or less. I think this yarn is a little bit thinner, so I did drop down a needle size to, I think it was a 3mm I used. I would say the yarn is close to a worsted weight, so I started them at the toe with I guess 12 stitches, increased to a total of 44 stitches, did a yarn over short row heel, did a 6.5 inch leg, and added about 1.5 inches of a cuff. So because the yarn is heavy and it's a bigger needle, they definitely work up more quickly than a regular fingering weight sock. But I was actually surprised at how long one sock did take to knit. I had opportunity this weekend to knit it in the car, and yeah, it just took longer than I expected. I'm going to bring this up a little bit more closely so you can get a good look at the yarn. You can see it's got some different colors. It looks brown overall, but then it has little bits of color. It appears to be one strand or one ply of hand spun applied together with I would say a commercial fine yarn, maybe a fingering weight yarn. And I'm hoping, I believe these are just 100% wool, so I knit them at a fairly tight gauge, and I warned Jan, my teammate, that they may not be as durable as the socks I knit last year that had some silk content, but she loves those. She's always telling me how much she loves them, so she's definitely, you know, I'm happy to help her out. She's just a real sweetheart, and I know how much she loves her hand knit socks. So I do have another couple of skeins of hand spun in kind of an aqua color that I said I would also knit into socks. But I'm going to take a little bit of a break now that I have these done. Last Thursday I took them to curling with me. I had one done up just past the heel, got her to try them on, fit great, so I was able to finish that one and then cast on the next one. I feel like there was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, she loves to knit, but I found out last week that she doesn't know how to purl. She mentioned that she wants to learn how to knit a hat, but she didn't know how to purl. So I told her I'd be happy to teach her. So maybe one day we'll sit down and I can teach her how to purl, and she can learn to knit hats, and then maybe even she can knit her own socks once she gets a handle on that. So anyway, they're still a little bit damp. I finished the second sock yesterday morning and washed and blocked them, so it's still a little bit damp, but they'll be perfectly dry by Thursday, and I'm be happy to deliver them to her. So it always feels very satisfying to have you know, a finished project. So speaking of socks, I might as well talk about my other sock that I have on the go. It is the Winter Comforts colorway from Fiber Nymph Dye Works, the bounce base. There's your label. So it's an 80-20 superwash merino nylon blend. I don't remember where I was last week. I think I might have just started the gusset, but I don't remember. So I don't think I've done tons and tons since you've seen it last, but you can see it taking shape a couple more inches. I'll be ready for the toe on this one. So that'll be fun. Now, did I mention what I'm wearing? I don't think I did this time. I have my adventurer scarf on. This is also knit from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. This was from the Holiday Harmonies mini collection. So along with this t-shirt, it's keeping me nice and warm on this cold day. I guess if I already talked about that, I'll cut this part out. I've lost track of what I have mentioned and what I haven't. Okay, I'm trying to think which one to show you next. How about Zweig? I love saying that. That is this sweater. It is by Caitlin Hunter. And I'm knitting it from Mid Knit Cravings. Sweet sock in the basil and pesto colorways. There's the information. It's just, I think, 100% merino fingering weight, yes. And this is the one I was working on because I was working on the color work section after the lace section, and then I wanted to divide it and or measure it and see if it was time to divide it, and then I couldn't resist dividing it and knitting a few more rows. So I am quite happy with this. Really happy with my color work. The tension's really good. Isn't that pretty? So, as I did mention, I have divided for the body and the sleeves, and I'm about to start the textured stitches that run, that are on the main body part and sleeves. Kind of debated whether just to knit it plain stockinette would certainly go faster, but I'm also thinking that it might add a little bit of interest both for knitting and for texture. I compared this to my Birkin that is also Caitlin Hunter pattern that I modified to fit me a little bit more tightly than the original, because she tends to knit her sweaters or design her sweaters quite loose fitting, and I like a more form-fitting sweater. So this seems to line up pretty well. I actually put on my Birkin and put this on over it, and they line up pretty much the same place. So I think this should work fine. I am not, however, cutting this yarn, even though I don't need it anymore. I'm going to leave it attached till I do a little bit more, try it on just to make sure. So there you can see the yarns a little more close up. I love this with the speckles. It's just enough to give it some interest. Okay, and speaking of sweaters, because that's what I've been knitting quite a bit on, is my other sweater is The Weekender by Andrea Mallory, and it is coming along really well. So I'm knitting it from this yarn that always looks way more blue than it is teal, although this particular skein does have a lot of blue in it. It is Cascade Yarns Cascade 220 Superwash Wave, and it's a Deep Sea color number 116. Yeah, this color never shows up properly on the finished product. I don't know why, it just doesn't. So I am delighted to report that I have completely finished the body, and I am now working on the first sleeve. So I'll see if I can, there, that should. Never mind all the stitch markers, they're there for various reasons, helping me out. So you can see how the yarn is a color changing yarn, goes in different shades of kind of blue and teal. I'll show you the back too, because it's a little bit different because of how the yarn has knit up. It has a drop shoulder and a boat neck, and the pattern calls for a tubular bind off, and I did it and I'm really happy with it. It's got a lot of stretch. I made sure I had enough stretch both on the shoulders, both on the shoulders and the neck. I can get over my head just fine. I read that on some project notes that people were having trouble with that. I'm also just really happy with how the finishing turned out. Like, I feel like it has a nice break here. I did a little bit different than what it said. I ended up binding off, let's see, where's the front? With the front facing, I bound off from this edge over to the neck, did the tubular bind off on the front stitches, and then carried on across from here to here so that the bind off would all be sitting in the same direction. And then I joined some yarn in and did the back, and then I just took my ends and just made sure that they were, you know, caught up really nicely in there. So I'm happy with that. I didn't realize at first, but you knit your sleeves in stockinette while the body of this is reverse stockinette and features this slip stitch down the front and the back. I've done a couple of modifications otherwise also, and that one is to add waist shaping, because as I mentioned, I do like a more form-fitting sweater. So I added decreases and then increases about a quarter of the way in from each side on the front and a third of the way in on the back. And also, the reason these stitch markers are here is I did it originally how it was written, as far as the length from where you start, where you separate for the front and back, and how far you knit before you do some shoulder shaping and then this ribbing. And it was really long from here to here. And so I took it back, took about an inch off, re-knit up a ways, and realized once again it was just going to be too long. So I ended up dropping a couple of inches off the length, and it sits and fits much, much better now. So I don't think next time I sit down and work on it, it shouldn't take me too long to whip out these sleeves, because it is worsted weight yarn. So I should have this sweater done before the end of winter, so that would be good. Very happy with how it fits and how it looks. This is definitely a win also. So after my granito kind of a fail, it's encouraging to have two sweaters that, cross fingers, do look like they're going to turn out to fit really well, and that I'll be happy with both that and the style. I finished The Victory Garden by Reese Bowen this week. I just started looking out the window. It's definitely snowing a little bit harder now, but it looks really wet. That is, if it does stick, it's going to be heavy to shovel. Anyway, yeah, I finished The Victory Garden, and I really enjoyed the book. As I was reading along, there were some things I definitely could see coming, so I can't say as the ending was much of a surprise. But what I was surprised about is it seemed to end a little bit sooner than I thought. I had actually just said to Cameron, my books, I'm almost finished my book, and then I'll do such and such. And I think I read the rest of that page or the next page, and it was over. So even though it ended how I expected, it ended more quickly than I expected. Kind of sad I'm out of Reese Bowen novels to read in terms of this sort of different type of writing. I still have some Molly Murphy mysteries to listen to on Audible. I've bought them, I just haven't listened to them yet. And I did get purchase a short story, so I should look at that next. And after that, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to read, but I know I'll find something. There's no shortage of reading material out there. So that brings us to my week. It's going to be a short one, can you tell? This week has kind of flown by. Actually, I can't believe we're in February already. And just looking ahead, what's coming up the next 2 weeks, I think February is going to go really fast too. So this last week, I ended up sparing with my sister's team, curling team, on Wednesday morning. I didn't realize when I spoke to you last I was going to do that. I got a call later on Tuesday to see if I was free. So we went down 5-1 after 2 ends, I think. And then we ended up working our way back and winning the game. So that was really a hard-fought, satisfying win. And then as it turned out, the following night, we were curling against one of the women that we had played the day before. and on the same sheet of ice. Unfortunately, we did not have the same results. It was her turn to win, but we had fun anyway. And then, we had just crazy weather. So we'd had, you've heard me talk about all the snow that we had a couple of weeks ago. And then we had Pineapple Express come in. That's what they call when the warm Pacific air comes in and just dumps on us. Apparently they've now changed it to atmospheric river. It's a more global term that doesn't involve necessarily the Pacific Ocean, but we get these Pineapple Expresses every few years, I guess. And it just poured rain starting Thursday evening and lasting all day Friday. And then Friday night we had rain and we had wind, and woke up Saturday morning to no power. And my mom was here, and we were supposed to drive her home on Saturday, but we found out that there were 3 different incidents on the highway between our house and her house. And if one of them was cleared up, we thought, oh, we can go the other highway, go an alternate route. And then that turned out to have like a mudslide too. So there was water on the road or something like that. So there were rocks down in one place. There were 2 different places where there were mudslides, and then water on the road on the other route. So our power had gone out about 6:15 in the morning and didn't come on till after 2 that afternoon. So we have a gas fireplace that works when the power's out. So we just kind of congregated in the family room so we could stay warm. And Cameron went out, did a breakfast run in the morning, brought back tea and coffee and something to eat. And then by lunchtime, the rain had subsided, so we drew our gas barbecue up a little bit closer to the house and boiled water and did some toasted cheese on the grill. So it was fine. We were fine, had something to eat. And then we headed over to Jessica's place because it was my oldest granddaughter's 15th birthday. So we had planned to go over and see her on Sunday when we came back from taking my mom home. But we, with the day free, we were able to actually go see her on her birthday itself. And she was having some friends over for a party, and a couple of them were staying overnight. So, yeah, she turned 15. It's hard to believe. So that evening, our younger son came over to spend some time with my mom. We played cards, and they played Yahtzee first. That's their thing. Anyway, had a nice evening, and then when we got up Sunday, the alternate highway was open, and the highway closest to my mom's was now open also. So we were able to go home an alternate route. So we left here about 8 o'clock, got to her place around noon, I guess. Had to go through some snow on the highway on the first stretch. Not so bad, but you know, came over the summit, and then it was sunny and dry roads. It was quite a contrast. And so we did not linger. Cameron wanted to get home in time to watch at least some of the Super Bowl, plus get home before dark. So we turned around, just unloaded her things, loaded up a couple things that had to come back to our place, and took off right away. Stopped to grab a bite of lunch on the way, and we were home again, I think a little bit after 4 o'clock. And coming home, the highway was much better. The stretch that we had experienced, the snow and such, was clearer, and just the odd flake coming down. So we did okay. Then we grabbed groceries and then came home and settled in for the evening. So I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I just watched the halftime show, but quite entertaining from what I understand. So that's always nice. It's nice when it's not a blowout, right? This, for the next 2 weeks, Jessica is going to be covering for a coworker that is going to be away. And so I'm going to be doing some babysitting over the next couple of weeks, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So, and then I got asked to curl to spare on Tuesday morning. So I am hoping to record again next Tuesday, but I might bump it up to, or advance it to Monday. We'll see. But definitely if it doesn't happen, then I'm not going to be able to do it with my little granddaughter around. And I have to get over to their house too by after school to make sure I'm there for when our grandson gets home. So yeah, be a bit of a busy week next week with the kids. It'll be fun, but it just kind of changes my routine around here. That's all. And I feel like I've been talking a mile a minute. I'm already at the end. Let's catch my breath and tell you about something good. So yes, okay, first off, do you remember, not this last Christmas, the Christmas before, my son Matt, that's our older son, he had asked me to make a pair of felted slippers for his girlfriend, his fairly new girlfriend, and I said, I wonder if this is going to maybe even be my future daughter-in-law. Well, it is. Yesterday, the two of them got engaged, so we got the news. Well, he called me first to say he was going to be proposing to her and then called later to say that she said yes. So we are all very delighted with that news. So it was just a great day yesterday getting that news. I think that's everything for this week. It seemed to go by awfully quickly, but I'm pretty sure I told you everything I wanted to tell you. So like I said, I am hoping to record Monday or Tuesday next week. If not, it will be the week after. So take care until then, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.